Hi, I'm Robert Owens, and my Capstone project dives into a pressing challenge in the electric vehicle landscape: charging deserts. These are geographic areas predominantly rural or remote, where EV charging is scarce or entirely missing. Picture this: you're an EV owner excited for a weekend getaway to Olympic National Park in Washington State. But as you map your route, you realize there's no charging station within 100 miles of your destination. This isn't just a minor inconvenience, it's a fundamental barrier that undermines confidence in EVs and slows adoption. Charging deserts disproportionately affect rural communities, national park visitors, and long distance travelers, creating a ripple effect that stifles economic opportunities and environmental progress. Why does this matter? The stakes are high. In 2023, EV sales in the US surged by 40%, with projections estimating they'll account for 25% of new vehicle sales this year for 2024. Yet the infrastructure to support this growth lags far behind, especially outside urban hubs. For instance, a 2022 study by the National Renewable Energy Laboratory, or NREL, found that 80% of public charging stations are concentrated in just 10% of US counties, mostly urban ones. The Department of Energy has even said that we need a 50 times increase in charge points by 2030 based on 2023 levels. This imbalance threatens the EV revolution, leaving rural economies and tourism-dependent areas at a great disadvantage. My project aims to address this gap, ensuring EVs are a viable option for all, not just city dwellers. The divide between urban and rural charging access is glaring. Take Washington State as an example. King County, which includes Seattle, boasts over 100,000 EV registrations, half the state's total, supported by a robust network of public charging infrastructure. Meanwhile, rural counties like Ferry or Garfield limp along with fewer than 1,000 EVs each and scant charging options. Naturally, the picture is similar. Only 10% of public chargers serve rural areas, which spans 68% of the U.S. landmass, according to the U.S. Department of Energy 2023 Alternative Fuels Data Center report. This scarcity hits hardest in regions like national park getaways and highway corridors where tourism fuels local livelihoods. For example, near Yellowstone or Yosemite, EV drivers often detour dozens of miles to find a charger, deterring visits and costing businesses revenue. And on top of that, it's just a major inconvenience. With EV adoption accelerating, sales grew from 600,000 units in 2022 to 840,000 in 2023. The gaps are no longer a niche issue. They're a bottleneck that could stall economic vitality and the push for decarbonization if left unaddressed. My project is guided by two pivotal research questions designed to unpack the charging desert phenomenon. Number one, how do geographic factors influence charging deserts? Proximity to national parks, distance from interstate highways, and terrain all shape the infrastructure lag. So, for instance, mountainous regions like the Cascades in Washington pose logistical challenges for charger installation, amplifying the desert effect. Answering this question pinpoints exactly where intervention is the most urgent. Number two, what roles do policy initiatives, socioeconomic traits, and geography play? Federal tax credits and state grants can spur development, but their effectiveness really depends on local income levels, education, and the political will. Rural areas often lack the resources or advocacy to leverage these incentives fully. So the objective and goal is to craft a data-driven framework for charger placement that maximizes the impact and utilization of those charging units. By analyzing these factors, I'll identify high-priority zones, thinking rural highways or park-adjacent towns, and propose solutions that balance feasibility with equity, ensuring no community is left behind in the EV transition. Washington State's EV ecosystem offers a microcosm of national trends, with data from the Department of Licensing providing rich insights. King County's 100,000 EVs dwarf the rural total of under 5,000 across 20-plus counties. This reflects not just population density, but charger availability. Seattle alone has over 1,200 public charging stations, while some rural counties have zero. Tesla commands a 43% market share, bolstered by the supercharger network. In 2023, Tesla added 15 new rural stations in Washington, yet that 80% of its chargers remain in urban-focused locations, underscoring that gap. A 35% jump in registrations, 74,000 in 2022 to 100,000 in 2023, outpaces the national 29% growth rate per IEA. This demand strains the rural grid and highlights the need for scalable infrastructure solutions. Battery electric vehicles, BEVs, account for 79% of registration, far outstripping plug-in hybrids. This shift signals customer readiness for full electrification, but only if charging can keep pace. Customers don't want to be inconvenienced or deal with problems and issues using their vehicle. The implications of this are pretty serious. Rural infrastructure must expand to match urban gains, especially along key travel corridors. Without it, EV growth risk plateauing, stranding both drivers and decarbonization goals. To ground data in real-world experience, I set up a survey for vehicle owners using Qualtrics. So from the survey data, among EV owners, 68% flagged insufficient chargers as their biggest headache, with rural trips often requiring meticulous planning or a lot of extra time. 45% reported unreliable stations with problems like broken equipment, and 30% faced wait times more than 20 minutes. Deal breakers for busy travelers or a disaster for holidays. Non-EV owners, 72% cited charging infrastructure is the top barrier, outranking cost, which was only 58%. 65% expressed range anxiety, fearing they'd be stranded on long drives or severely inconvenienced, a fear amplified by the charging desert effect. The key takeaway here is infrastructure isn't just a logistical issue, it's a psychological one. Both groups demand reliability, accessibility, and without addressing these pain points, EV adoption will suffer. So to close the charging gap, I propose a multi-pronged approach. GIS modeling. Use GIS systems to map deserts and integrating data layers like traffic volume, EV ownership rates, distance to parks, land use. For example, a heat map could reveal that SR20 near the North Cascades National Park is a prime candidate for new stations. Machine learning can train algorithms based on adoption trends, demographic shifts, and policy impacts to forecast charger demand through 2030 and beyond. This could predict, say, a 50% demand spike near rural tourism hubs by 2027. Socioeconomic indicators can help blend income data, education levels, and local tax bases into the site selection process. A low-income county with high tourism potential might need subsidized chargers to even break even. So for the next steps, Capstone 2. The plan is to develop an interactive heat map and location allocation model with optimizing charger placement for coverage and cost efficiency. I'll also explore partnerships with initiatives like Kinetic, which combines EV charging with sustainable hospitality. Kinetic's modular units, equipped with chargers and eco-friendly amenities, could dot rural landscapes, serving EV drivers while boosting local economies. A pilot near Mount Rainier, for instance, could test its viability. If you're watching this and wondering why, the future's kinetic. We've got to start thinking differently about how we address critical infrastructure gaps. It's got to make sense, and EV charging doesn't make economic sense as it is today. Kinetic is about redefining how we interact with electric power that we all take for granted. It's so much more than a charging network. We're going to do that through magical hardware and software unity and hyper-personalized, seamless hospitality experience built for the 2030 adventure traveler. That's value. And that's a future with room for everyone to win. You, me, our friends and neighbors, the environment, and our society's acceptance of new made-in-America technologies while addressing critical infrastructure gaps. That's kinetic. If you're watching right now and think that sounds interesting, we're in development. Calling all mechanical, electrical, software engineers, or construction guys. We'd really love to talk to you. This is about taking Southern hospitality to the next level with AI and building a future that we can all be proud of. Charging deserts aren't just a technical challenge. They're a societal one, touching economics, equity, and the environment. My project lays the foundation for smarter infrastructure, using data and innovation to bridge the EV gap. From Washington State's rural highways to national park trails, the solutions, GIS, machine learning, and kinetic, offer a blueprint for progress. The potential is immense: accelerated EV adoption, thriving rural economies, and a cleaner planet. Thanks so much for joining me today on this journey. I'd love your feedback and ideas on how to drive this thing forward. You can always find me on LinkedIn or email me anytime at rowens@chargekinetic.com. Thank you.